Welcome back, dear learners, to our journey into the world of biology. In this lecture, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and essential topics in biology, genetics and heredity. This area of biology is not only scientific, but also deeply personal. It explains why we look like our parents, why certain traits run in families, and how the diversity of life is passed down from one generation to the next. So let's begin and uncover the science behind the blueprint of life. Firstly, small blue diamond, what is genetics? Genetics is basically the study of genes, genetic variation, and heredity in living organisms. In simple words, genetics explains how traits are inherited from parents to offspring. The term genetics was first used by William Bateson in 1905, but the foundation of genetics was laid by a monk named Gregor Mendel in the 1800s. Mendel is often called the father of genetics, thanks to his famous experiments on pea plants. So the question is, what exactly are traits? Traits are characteristics such as eye color, height, skin tone, flower color, or leaf shape. These are all passed from parents to offspring through genes. Now, what is heredity? Heredity is the biological process where parents pass genetic traits to their children. Whether it's the shape of our nose, the color of your hair, or the risk of certain diseases, heredity plays a major role. Every organism receives half of its genetic material from its mother and half from its father. That's why we are a unique mix of both parents. At the core of genetics is DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA is like a biological instruction manual found in almost every cell of our body. It's made up of 4 chemical bases: adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. These bases pair up as a T and C, G to form the famous double helix structure of DNA. Segments of DNA are called genes, and each gene carries instructions to make proteins, which are the building blocks of life. So, if DNA is the manual, then genes are specific instructions and proteins are the results. The carriers of genes. Genes are arranged on chromosomes, which are thread-like structures found in the nucleus of cells. Humans have 46 chromosomes, arranged in 23 pairs. One set comes from the mother and one from the father. Each chromosome contains thousands of genes. Your 23rd pair is special. It determines your biological sex. For example, XX is female, XY is male. Mendel's pea plant experiments revealed how traits are passed on. He discovered dominant and recessive traits. A dominant trait is always expressed if present, like tall height in peas. A recessive trait only shows up if both alleles, gene versions, are recessive. Mendel's work led to 3 important laws. Law of segregation: each individual has 2 alleles for a trait, but passes only one to the offspring. Law of independent assortment: genes for different traits are passed independently. Law of dominance: one allele can mask the expression of another. These laws are the foundation of classical genetics. Let's discuss genotype versus phenotype. I can clarify you these 2 terms that are often confusing. Genotype is the genetic makeup, for example, capital TT, capital with small tt, both are small tt. Phenotype is the physical appearance, for example, tall or short plant. Even if 2 individuals look the same phenotype, they can have different genotypes. Sometimes, changes occur in the DNA sequence. These are called mutations. Mutations can be sometimes beneficial as increasing survival, for example, resistance to disease, and sometimes neutral, have no effect, and sometimes harmful, causing diseases like cystic fibrosis. Mutations are the source of genetic variation and thus evolution. Modern genetics, going beyond Mendel. With modern science, we now know genetics is far more complex. Let's explore some advanced concepts, like codominance. Both alleles show their effect, for example, AB blood group. Second is incomplete dominance. Traits blend, for example, red plus white equals pink flowers. Next, polygenic inheritance. Traits controlled by many genes, example is height, skin color. Further is sex-linked inheritance, traits found on sex chromosomes, for example, color blindness. Also, genetic engineering, CRISPR, and gene therapy are revolutionizing medicine and agriculture today. That's why is genetics important. How genetics helps us. It predicts the risk of genetic diseases, improve crop and livestock quality, study evolution and biodiversity, personalize medical treatments, gene therapy, solve crimes with DNA fingerprinting, and above all, it teaches us how interconnected all life truly is. To conclude, genetics and heredity are not just about DNA or inheritance, they are about life itself. From the way we look to the way we respond to medicines, our genes shape every part of us. Understanding this topic helps us appreciate the miracle of biology and how carefully life has been coded and passed down across generations. Thank you for joining today's lecture.